From the very first time that I heard,
It's football time in Tennessee.
I knew that sports would consume my life. I'm originally from Tennessee, but I grew up in Gator Country, a very hard thing to do. Despite that, my first and main love is the Tennessee Volunteers. Then, in 2023, I met a girl who worked for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I quickly fell in love with hockey. A Tampa Bay Lightning fan through and through. That same girl introduced me to women's basketball, and my life has never been the same. I even met Candace Parker. Then, in 2025, I got the opportunity to work for the Orlando Valkyries, a professional volleyball team. In my first season, they won the championship. Outside of my love for sports, I'm a dog mom, a college graduate, a sister, an aunt to many boys and a few girls, and a daughter. My love for sports led me to do this podcast, and I hope you guys will enjoy the journey just as much as I'm going to. Hello, and welcome to the Everything Sports Podcast with Tay. My name is Tay, and today we are joined by very special guest, Coach Amy Pauly. Coach Amy Pauly used to play for Alabama volleyball and is now the head coach of the Orlando Valkyries. How are you doing today, Amy?
I'm great, Tay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to have you on today to talk some volleyball, winning a championship last season, and some other things. So let's go ahead and get started if you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right. So the first question I have for you today is going to be, can you describe your journey from college volleyball player to coach and what inspired you to make this transition?
Yeah, I think, when I was playing, I never actually thought that I would be coaching. I think I tried to ignore it actually for a while because, when you talk to people when you're younger and you're like, oh, I think I want to be a coach, people are like, don't do it. There's no money, like turn away, run. But then you just kind of get sucked in. And so I had my first opportunity to really work with a team after I graduated Alabama. I was a grad student at South Carolina and I worked for the volleyball team there. And during that, I was in grad school for sport management. And so I was kind of trying to navigate which route I wanted to go. And I just really, really loved working with the team there. I had two different head coaches that I actually worked under. So that was a unique situation.
Yeah.
But during that, I just kind of said, you know what, this is the journey I want to go on. I love helping young women, trying to be a mentor for them. I think my philosophy and coaching of that has changed over years. I'm not the same. I'm not as close in age as them anymore.
Right.
So I feel like helping them has changed a bit, but it just, once I got the taste of coaching, I kind of never really looked back.
That's awesome. And definitely having those two different coaches makes it a unique experience in many ways, but more so in giving you more experience because every coach has a different philosophy, a different way they do things. And so having those two different coaches and then your time during when you were with South Carolina kind of gave you two different ideas of what coaching could look like and kind of help you make that decision.
Yeah. Extremely different personalities, different ways that they go about problem solving, even just like attacking practice every day. And so I think one of the best things you can do when you're learning to coach or any job is learn the good and the bad from every boss that you have.
Yeah.
There's always something that you can take from the people that you work under or play for. And you got to take each little experience with you along the way to help you create who you are as a coach.
That's awesome. So speaking of the people that you played for, my next question is, were the particular coaches, mentors, or teammates who impacted your development? Who were the particular coaches, mentors, or teammates who impacted your development as both a player and a leader?
Oh, that's a good question. And I feel like this is not a fair answer, but it changes over time. I
Okay.
don't know. It's weird. Like I look back, I never thought I would have said this when I was younger, but I had a tough time at Alabama. I went through some things as a player that is a reason that I became a coach. I said, I don't want my players to go through that. I want to do it differently. But now I'm a little bit older and a little bit more mature, and I can look back and go, wow, my head coach really did have my best interest in mind the whole time. And there are things that she did where when I was younger, I thought that's too harsh, or they're, to making it too personal. But now I've learned, hey, it's okay to be that direct with people. It's just
Yeah.
how do you mentor them through some of that directness. And so my head coach at Alabama was a bulldog. I mean, she wanted to win. She was a competitor. She really wouldn't let anything get in the way. And I feel like I am the same way. As I said, I've just kind of changed and done some things a little bit differently, but I really respect her for what she did for that program and the place that she took Alabama to. They've, had some of the best success there in the three or 4 years that I was there. So she was awesome. And then, my first real boss, so my first real assistant job was at Villanova University,
Mm-hmm.
and that was under Josh Steinbach, who has been there for too long now. I don't want to age him, but he is just such like a good human being. And so during that experience, I was like, okay, this is how you can be competitive, but be really loving on your players at the same time. And it was great to kind of learn how he navigated those situations and had hard conversations with people, but still really thought about lifting them up at the end. And so those are the first two coaches that really were impactful on me as a young adult. And so I got to give a lot of credit to them of where I am today.
Well, shout out coaches. So your first coach that you talked about, it kind of reminds me of like a almost a mother-daughter relationship, not in like a she is your mother, but like how as a kid like you don't think your mom is right, and then as you become an adult, and I don't know if you have kids, but even as you become an adult and you have nieces and nephews, even
Yeah.
kids, whatever, you then look back and you're like, okay, like she was a little rough and a little harsh, but she really was just doing it in my best interest. You know what I mean? So that's what it kind of
I
reminds me of.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. And it's like you have that. I mean, I'm super stubborn. And so I have to like apologize to her about, man, I'm sorry, I made your job real hard back then. But that stubbornness is just a competitor. And I think she understood that at the time. And maybe looking back, she would have handled some things differently as well.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's exactly what it is. It's like a family relationship. Like you
Yeah.
have the respect for that person, but you just butt heads because, you're both stubborn.
Well, and I've never met a competitor who's not stubborn on some level. So
Yeah,
I don't mean that disrespectfully at all. It's a good trait to have when you're a competitor because it means that you have that like that fight in you and that want to win, being stubborn like that. So I've never met somebody who's competing in any sport who's not stubborn on some level. So
fair
but to be
enough.
able to recognize that in yourself, that's a true sign of maturity. Because there's some competitors who are like, I'm not stubborn, and I'm like, you should check that out just real quick. So, but
Yeah.
the next question I have for you is, how would you describe your coaching philosophy? You did mention a little bit ago that it's kind of changed over the years. So how would you describe it now, and how would you describe it when you first started coaching?
When I first started coaching, I think I was just all about that relationship building. Like it was the most important piece. I wanted to be the person that the players could come to when they were struggling with something, or make sure I really built the relationship off the court to make sure you have the trust on the court. And I do think that those things are still very important. But
Mm-hmm.
as I kind of started going to higher levels of play, so I went from Villanova to then being a head coach, then back to being an assistant at the University of Southern California, and
Okay.
then to being in this professional league. I
Mm-hmm.
think the higher that you get with the level that you're playing, your philosophy has to change. It's very much about building trust through X's and O's more than it is through, let me take you out to coffee and make you feel good about yourself. And so maybe it's not necessarily I've changed about what is important to me, but it's how do you recognize what each team and which program
Yeah.
needs to help them be the most successful.
Okay. Awesome. So we'll just go ahead to the next question. What is your proudest moment as a coach so far?
It's got to be winning a championship.
Yeah. I had a feeling that
I
was going to be
think,
your answer.
yeah, I mean, I'd love to give you some lovey dovey answer, but no, winning the championship is my proudest moment.
So for those of you that don't know, I worked for the Orlando Valkyries last season, and we got to be a part of that background team that helped kind of send the team in the direction they needed to be, and cheer on the team during game days. And I was the mascot handler, so I was running around following the mascot and starting chants in the crowd and all that crazy stuff. And so I got to experience that championship run too, and for me personally, like I've only been in sports for 1 year, but my favorite memory in life right now is you guys winning that championship, because I got to
I
be such
love
a
that.
small part of that. And it just feels really awesome. So to be the head coach and be so involved in that, I can't even imagine what that feels like. But I don't know if you saw
Yeah.
on Instagram for your guest announcement the pictures that I chose. I don't know if you've been on
Oh no,
Instagram
I'll have
today.
to go look. No, I'll have to
Okay,
go look those up.
so
I actually
my
deleted Instagram this week,
oh, okay, well you're gonna have to go
but
check that out.
I will.
Okay, so my favorite picture of you from the championship run is you're holding the trophy like a baby, and you're just like this with it, and you're just like, and so
It's
that's
like,
the first picture I
yeah.
chose because I felt like that embodies you so much. You're so, from the time I've gotten to know you, the little time that I've gotten the opportunity to get to know you, you're a hard coach. You're hard on your team, but in a good way. But you're so kind and so just like carefree also in the same way, and it's a compliment. Take it as a compliment,
Thank
because
you.
when you when you're holding that trophy, you can just see the joy and the proudness in yourself and in your team and in the staff and in everybody that was involved in making that happen. And so that's why I chose that picture, because I feel like it fully embodies you as a human being. So you'll have to go check out the pictures that I chose for your guest
I will.
announcement.
Thank you. That was
Yeah,
such
of
a nice
course.
compliment. I
Of
appreciate that.
course. Of course. So we'll move on to the next question, and it's going to be, what do you hope your legacy will be within the sport?
I think that you actually just kind of, hinted at part of it is I do want to be known as a competitor and somebody that pushes people, but the fact that you said, hey, you're still so, kind and joyful and bring some fun to things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important. I think it's really important to include everyone around you. And again, this is going back to things that I learned from some of my older bosses. It's like, do you know the name of the person that takes your trash out every
Mm-hmm.
day? That person is important to help you win a championship.
Yeah.
They keep your office clean, they
Yeah.
make your space nice. And so I think if I had to say what is my legacy, it's really just being a competitive person that doesn't look down on anybody and wants to include everyone.
That's awesome. I don't know if you watched the episode with Charlotte Crook, but we talked a little bit about how, um, you and the players all treat everybody in that staff as an equal. You guys don't treat anybody like they're lesser than you because they're not out there fighting on the court to get that win. The game day staff is, and Charlotte likes to say that we're a huge part of it, and I know that we are, because I know that it couldn't really be done without having that extra staff that you guys have. But in reality, like if you think about it, we're kind of just like minuscule people who are only there during game days. We don't work with you guys during the week. We don't see you guys during the week, but you still all took the time to, for me personally anyways, learn my name, um, ask if there was any. I had players ask me if there was anything that they could do to help me with things on game day, like they weren't doing something and I would be like pulling a cart and they were like, hey, can I help you with that? And that just speaks volumes to like your team and the group that you've built and the respect that they have for people who are helping them, get to that championship point. So that's a compliment on you too, because they wouldn't be that way if they didn't have a coach who taught them to be that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. I got really lucky with the group I had last year.
Yes.
Think I've said a bajillion times that, man, we just had like good people around
Mm-hmm.
from top to bottom. And we had some changes in our front office as well
Yep.
that I think brought a light to everybody that was working. And everyone felt bought into the championship. It was truly like an organization championship. It
It
wasn't
really
just the six
was.
people that were on the floor doing it. So
Yeah, it really
love that.
was. So next question is, what advice would you give to current college volleyball players considering a career in coaching?
Current players that want to coach, they need to go coach. They need to go coach camps. They need to try to coach club. They need to get in
Okay.
any aspect that they can. I think that it's really easy to make a jump now if you were a successful college player
Mm-hmm.
to automatically kind of getting a job, but
Mm-hmm.
those players don't always, or those coaches don't always work out, because you've got to go through the grunt work. You have to do the grind to figure out what it's like to lead even a team of 12-year-olds, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
every coaching experience is going to give you a little nugget of information that you need. And so I would just say start getting involved in any kind of coaching that you can as soon as you can.
Okay. So just out of curiosity, I kind of have a follow-up question to that. I did a segment with a friend of mine. His name is Coach Willie Tillman. He coaches high school football right now, but he's coached college ball. And one of the main pieces of advice that he had for anybody getting involved in any type of coaching, he said, because he's coached basketball and other sports too, is you don't get in it for the money. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. And I think it's probably a little old school of me, but my husband also coaches. He's a
Yes.
Division One coach, and we always joke about how much we got paid for our first jobs. And I mean, it was peanuts. Like I got $10,000 for my first job, and I lived on
Wow.
an air mattress for 6 months. But you just do it like you did it at the time
Right.
because
Yeah.
there wasn't as many opportunities either. Like
Right.
there's so many more
There
opportunities for
really is.
coaching
Yeah.
now than when I started. And so I'm not saying go take the $10,000 job, but yes, don't get into it for the money because it's a long grind, and getting to like the top of the top takes a really long time. And so be ready to grind it out a little bit.
Perfect. Thank you for answering that follow-up question. That wasn't, on our list, but I appreciate it.
It's all
Um,
good.
so the next question I have for you, and we're about halfway done, is how do you handle high pressure situations as a coach? And you were in some pretty high pressure situations last season, so I have a feeling you
Yeah.
have a good answer for this.
Um, I two different ways. I think the first one is off the court, and because there's pressure happening off the court
Mm-hmm.
all the time, right? There's people talking about what you're doing. There's people questioning what you're doing. How do you handle those sort of things? I have been very outspoken about my Christianity and prayer, and taking some time every day to just kind of be in the word and have like some quiet time. I think
Yeah.
that's really important to me. I think that was more important than ever this season after some things that I went through. And so I truly rely, and it doesn't even have to be prayer. Like I say this to everybody, like go read a book for 15 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Go listen to some like nature music. Like I don't care what it is, but have something that can help you really shut your mind off from
Mm-hmm.
the outside world, because there's so much noise going on that you have to find a way to quiet everything. So I think that's my number one advice for off the court. On the court, you are only going to be ready for pressure situations as much as you prepared for them. So getting to figure out, what do I know about the other team? What are the things that are important to me in timeouts? What are the trends I look at during the matches? And being really consistent about those things so that when the pressure comes, you know what it is that you're relying on in those moments to help you see clearly.
Awesome. Awesome. And I know you don't waste a timeout. Like that's something I watched the games very closely when I was working this past season, and like Val would, start a chant during a timeout to get the crowd going and stuff. And so we would do that, and then like I would turn around, and it never failed that every single one of your players, whether they were the player that was on the court or they were a player that was on the bench, was in that timeout. You were talking to them, you were going over something with another coach. Like you don't waste timeouts is something that I learned about you last season. You find them
Yeah.
to be very valuable, and you use like every second of that timeout. So
Yeah, very rarely is it like, okay, you guys sit and figure it out on your own. And
yeah.
again, I think that just is like the level that we're at and the
Right.
type of athlete that we're coaching. So one, the timeouts are short. You have
Right.
45 to 60 seconds to give them a piece of information. And so as the match is going on, we know when the timeouts are coming, right? Like we
Mm-hmm.
know that there's a media timeout at 8, there's a media timeout at 16. At some point, someone's probably going to call another one either in between those, or 16 to 25. And so we've kind of identified what typically are the important things to talk about
Right.
between points 1 through 8. What's important to talk about 8 through 16. And then dependent on if it's a offensive timeout or a defensive timeout, that really helps focus what we have as well.
Awesome. So next question is, what do you wish you had known when you began your coaching journey?
What do I wish I knew when I began my coaching journey? I don't know. That I read these questions and I didn't have an answer when I read it, and I still don't have an
That's okay.
answer now. I'm such like a no regrets type of person.
Okay.
Like
That's an
everything that
answer.
happened to you has made you who you are today, sort of thing. And so I certainly think that there are experiences that I look back and go, "Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, Amy, like I cannot believe that you handled that way, or you thought, did this, that, and the other thing." But then I'm like, okay, well, if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have learned from that situation. So
That's a
I
perfectly
think,
good answer right there.
yeah, I think the only other thing I would say is it's taken me a really long time to not care about other people's
Right.
opinions. Like I'm pretty stubborn, but I'm also very much a people pleaser. Like I want everybody to feel good. I want them to be happy. I want them to be proud of me.
Right.
And I've gotten to now I'm just like, I don't care. I have my
Yeah.
bubble of people that are really important, and as long as I know that they're proud of what I'm doing and how I'm representing us and representing the team, those are the most important things to me.
And I think that a lot of people would benefit from getting to that point, but I don't think people realize how hard it is to get to that point in your life. Like I'm almost there. My dad always gives me a hard time because my dad is very much that I don't give a crap what other people think about me. I don't, you can post whatever you want, you can say whatever you want. I don't care because I know that I'm proud of me and the people who are most important to me are proud of me, and that's all that matters. And so I am still struggling. I'm 31 years old, so I have a little time to like
You got
work on that.
time.
Yeah. But because of my father's influence and his like very much like I don't care, I've come a lot farther than some people my age. And so like there's sometimes people will say something about me and I'm just like, okay, like
Yeah.
whatever. But I think that more people would benefit from living that way. But again, I don't think they realize how hard it is to get to that point. So it's a good thing once you're there. It's a really hard thing to achieve.
It is. And I do think that social media is such a huge factor
Yes.
in those things. So, like at the beginning of the season, I deleted all my apps. I deleted like certain vlogs and websites from
Mm-hmm.
my browsing history. And I was just like, I know for me personally, I have to stay away from reading comments and going to look at things, and just don't even allow myself to go down that rabbit hole because it's human instinct to get distracted by them. And
Yep.
so knowing that, I'm like, I gotta shut it off. So
Yeah. Makes sense. So next question is, how has coaching changed you as a person?
I think coaching has changed me as a person. I think it's actually made me a lot less selfless as a player. As I mentioned before, I know that I was a piece of work for my head coach. And it was never out of like bad intentions. I was just really competitive. I wanted to be the
Yeah.
best. I wanted the person next to me to be the best, but
Yeah.
I didn't know how to portray that the right way. And I think through coaching, you have to learn how to communicate with people and learn how to make that person feel good about what they're doing. And so I don't know, if it weren't for coaching, maybe I would still be a little bit of a jerk.
Knowing you
I think
now,
coaching helped
I
me not
find
be
that
as big of
so
a
hard
jerk.
to believe. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
knowing who you are now, I don't I wish I would have known you back then because I just feel like it would have been really interesting to see the different versions of you. And it's so hard to believe that that's who you were knowing the person that you are now. I have a hard time with that.
Thank
So,
you. That
yeah,
means
of
I've
course.
grown.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. So, next question is, what hobbies, interests, or activities outside of volleyball help you recharge?
Love reading. Right now I'm in the series, the Throne of Glass series, and so I'm doing a lot of reading in my spare time. When I have the time, I also love getting on the Xbox. I
Okay,
like to nerd out a little bit. That's
there you go.
fun to shoot some things on the video games.
Yeah, yeah.
um, and that's really, I have a dog, so like most of my time gets spent taking care of my dog. He's 16 years old, and so he
Oh,
he gets all of my love and attention right now.
yeah.
So yeah,
He's earned all that love and attention at that point. Oh
absolutely.
yeah. We had a 14-year-old dog. Our family did. That my brother 9 days before he left for Air Force basic training came home from a hunting trip and said to my mom, "Hey, there's this dog where we just were, and I want to bring her home." And then when I graduate basic training, I'll take her. Well, she never left. She came home. She had heartworms. She had fleas and ticks everywhere. She had been an outdoor dog. But she was the best dog we've ever had. And she earlier this year she passed away. So but like you, in those last few years that you have with them, when they start reaching that upward age, you give them every bit of attention, every bit of love, every bit of adventure that you possibly can that they can handle, because you want them to remember life that way. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Every treat, every
yeah,
sleep on the bed,
there's
sleep
no
wherever
rules
you
when they're a senior
want.
dog.
No
rules.
Can you tell my husband that?
I would be happy to, if you need me to. If you need me to,
Okay.
I would be happy to tell him that, because there should be no
Perfect.
rules when the dog reaches 15 and older. There's no rules. No rules. The
Love
dog
it.
runs the house. So next question is going to be, what impact do you hope to have on the next generation of volleyball players and coaches? And I know we kind of already covered that, but
yeah, no, I think the more tangible side of it is continuing to be part of this league and making a pathway where these young players can either play or coach in it. We're adding more teams, which means we're adding more playing opportunities. We're adding more coaches to the league. And the more that we can get the pro scene off the ground, the trickle down effect is going to be huge.
Yeah, for sure. I got to tell you, I did not know that, we had player signings come out at one point on Instagram for the Valkyries, and I did not know that you had to be re-signed. I just assumed that, like, you're a championship winning coach, that you were staying. And so when the notification came out that you were also coming back to Orlando, I ran to my mom's bedroom and I was like, thank God, because I could not imagine having another coach. Like, I couldn't imagine another coach coming in after you just won the championship. But I had no idea that they had to re-sign you until they put that announcement out. And so I was on bated breath when somebody mentioned it to me, and then finally they put it out and I was like, okay, I can breathe now. Because what do you mean that Coach Amy may not be coming back?
New season, or I guess this is still considered like a startup, so everybody's contracts just keep kind of changing and figuring it out at a time. But
wild to me. And I literally, I'm in the back of the house. I ran to my mom's bedroom and I was like, oh my God, Mom, we have Coach Amy again. We're good. I can breathe now.
That's so funny. Oh yeah, I couldn't go anywhere after last year, especially with the group I had coming back.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got quite a few starting players coming back. So that's awesome. So my final question for you today is, if you could change one thing about the volleyball world, what would it be?
Oh, I would just get us on TV way more.
I agree with that. 100%.
Yeah. If I could push a magic button and have our matches either on a streaming service or getting on primetime television, I would do it, because I think when people watch it, it's so easy to fall in love with the sport, but we're still not quite there yet. I mean, the college scene is exploding still. They are getting the primetime games. Yeah. So I think if we could,
so it's possible. We know that it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And even our all-star game last year, we had 500,000 viewers at a 1 p.m. on a Saturday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's out there. I think we're getting in that direction, but yeah, we just I wish we could get there faster. That's the only thing.
I agree. And it's kind of the pro volleyball scene is kind of a cool thing because it doesn't really overlap with other sports. There's football still kind of going on when you do January, February, right? But after that, the WNBA starts up at some point, but not till June. And so you're really kind of in your own, there's not really anything going on professional wise. This is the perfect time. I'm not a baseball person, so I don't count that. But
so they have so many games. So
I know, exactly. But so it's not like there's a lack of TV spots. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing else going on. There's got to be. Yeah. And so maybe with this new change over to the MLV, maybe we'll see a new TV contract come out in the next few years, and maybe we'll have more games on TV. Yeah, fingers crossed. So that's with a change like that from a league to league, that's a perfect opportunity and perfect time to say hey, this is something we should do. Hopefully the people at the higher up level figure that out and get that worked out, because I also would like to see it on TV more. My parents came to a game last season because we get the free tickets as game day staff, and so I sent my parents to a game and they had a blast. My mom has always just been a college football person, nothing else. I got into hockey a couple years ago when I met my ex, and so those were our two sports in this house. And she came to a volleyball game. She was watching every game that was on TV possible for the Orlando Valkyries. If a game was televised, my mom was watching it. And so it really like it draws in all generations. It's just such a fun atmosphere. And if I just got to say to people watching this, if you've never been to an Orlando Valkyries game and you're local to Florida, make the trip. Come on a weekend game, like make the trip. It's totally worth it. It's a one of a kind environment, and it's just absolutely a blast. So
Yeah, it is really fun. You guys do a great job of making
thank you.
the arena environment awesome. And I know that we talked about it a little bit earlier, but getting the home crowd involved goes such a long way. And so we just appreciate all that you guys do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we appreciate you. So I have a couple things really quick, the announcements wise. One is subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on Instagram. We're also on X if you're on there. I want to give a shout out to Chris Summerall with the Florida Hat Shack for my hat and my upcoming hats that I have coming. And let's see, if you, like I said, if you haven't been to a Valks game, come out this season. Season starts in January or February?
January.
Okay, so January. Once I have a schedule, I will post it to my page because I don't think we have a finalized schedule yet still. We were hoping to have one by the time you came on the podcast, but I haven't heard from Charlotte, so my assumption is there is still not one.
Nah, mid-October, I think.
Okay, perfect. So mid-October, and I will post it to my page, and then if you have, like I said, if you haven't been, you really should go. It's a wonderful environment. So Coach Amy, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you, and I hope that you have a great upcoming season.
Thanks, Tay.